Two analysts just went on TV. One says Tesla stock is his top pick, and while the other one also likes Tesla stock, he made some other comments that absolutely stunned me. Let's take a look.
Garrett, what's the big picture here as you comb across the auto industry? Some of the names that you liked in the past, you're moving down the ladder, let's say. What are the names you like and why?
Yeah, thanks for having me. We continue to like Tesla, both in the near term and long term. We think they have a huge cost of capital advantage in the industry. And if you look, Tesla vehicles have accounted for about 2/3 of all EV sales in the US last year. And we think there's a very clear pathway to growth. And in fact, by the end of this decade, we think they will be the world's largest automaker in terms of sales volume. So that's our top pick.
Here's at least one analyst that seems to have figured out what Tesla is going to do in the rather near future: take over every single legacy automaker and sell more vehicles than all of them. Ford just now broke down how much money they are making from EVs, and their margins actually are increasing very fast. It's very impressive what they are able to do. And Ford, yeah, that is the one to really watch out for, because they are the only ones that broke down their margins. I mean, you look at 2021, they were making 28.8%, and now the margins have increased all the way up to 40.6%, except they increased in the wrong direction. Ford is actually making the right moves currently, but it is so hopelessly almost behind Tesla, and it is basically the only company pretty much that actually shows us the financials of the EV business out of all of the legacy automakers. So what do you think is happening with other automakers?
We do like Ford also. They increased their dividend last year pretty materially. They have an investor day tomorrow, and we think that could be a potential catalyst for the stock. I think there's been some frustration with management and their operational performance recently, but I think they're going to provide a lot more detail regarding, the separation of the EV business from the traditional business. And then aside from that, we have sales on a couple of these small newcomer EV names.
While Ford did give us some numbers, these numbers are not that deep, and it doesn't have a lot of information that I would like to see. For example, what is Ford's gross margin for the EV business? I don't know. I can guess, and it's probably really bad, because they are not even showing the number that usually you want to show, because you tell everyone, hey, look, we are losing a lot of money right now because we just haven't scaled yet. But look, we are making a 20% gross margin on these vehicles. We are going to be just fine when we scale all of these vehicles. But we can't see it because they're not showing it to us. And the only conclusion I can really make is that these numbers are terrible. If they were not, they would show these numbers to us, I believe.
Let's talk, Ivan. What are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with Garrett on Tesla. They have done everything phenomenally well. And they do have not only maybe a cost of capital advantage, they have a cost advantage. Their battery technology, their battery production, the car design and production, the build out of the factories, they do have an incredible advantage, and they've had it for some time. And it's almost shocking that the global auto industry has given Tesla an entire market to themselves for 10 years.
I am still fairly young, but the older I get, the less it shocks me. Then I see someone acting completely irrationally, illogically, and doing something ridiculously absurd. For example, you would think, because we now live in democracies, that our leaders would not be absurdly corrupt, jailed for 24 years for corruption. And because you would think we now live in the 21st century and we have gotten smarter because we also can easily destroy ourselves, we would definitely say no to war. But here you go. And now that I also started making videos, when I dig deeper into certain subjects, wow, it just completely baffles me sometimes what people actually think. And before, I would often think, probably corruption, probably this person actually is just playing a game here. But on the other hand, I think in many cases, some people actually believe a lot of things that are obviously ridiculous. And I think, and this will sound completely ridiculous, but Gordon Johnson would probably agree. I mean, he thinks that being a Tesla stock bull is absolutely absurd, and I think it's absolutely absurd to short Tesla stock. Except there's one very important detail. He has been wrong, and Tesla bulls have been right.
But GM is going to be an incredible competitor and also has a lot of advantages.
What did I just say? Something about ridiculous people, ridiculous opinions, something like that, I think.
They have invested tremendously in building out their battery and power supply chain, and they have a infrastructure of 3,000 dealers, which are going to be very important to the future.
Dealers are going to be important to the future? Out of all of the things that he could have said, that has to be one of the most ridiculous. Matthew just compared a Toyota Prius to a Model 3, and what he found was the average dealer markup was almost $6,000. That means Tesla can sell the exact same vehicle for about that much less. So if you make the exact same vehicle and the specs are exactly the same, and one sells for $40,000 and the other one, let's say $35-ish thousand, which one are you going to pick? Obviously the cheaper one, right? The dealer network is not an advantage. It is a disadvantage. It is one of the things that is holding the legacy automakers from making the transition to EVs faster, because they have to sell their vehicles at higher prices. That makes it harder for them to compete. They are already losing a whole lot of money, like we have seen from Ford's report.
Of this ongoing electrification, as far as charging, as far as service, as far as software upgrades, as far as customer education and customer interaction. I mean, the dealer network is a valuable component of General Motors.
Did he just seriously say that the dealer network is valuable because it will do software updates for the vehicles? We had a Mercedes, and I say had because we got rid of it just now recently. We got it because my wife liked it. I wanted to tell her, hey, let's go check out the Tesla. Just try it, and maybe you will want a Tesla instead. And she was very insistent on getting the Mercedes. And being married, I have found that you can be right and single or married. Now, I prefer being married. And my wife liked the Mercedes, although the moment we got the Tesla, yeah. She switched to the Tesla, and the Mercedes was just there. But that Mercedes had a software update once. And I got a letter in the mail, like an actual physical letter in the mail saying your car will automatically update itself. I thought, okay, that's a little bit weird. I mean, maybe you could have just sent some sort of warning to the car, so when I start the car, it just pops up, hey, your car is going to be updated. Why do you have to send me this physical letter? And then the car tried to update itself, and then I got another letter. I thought the car updated itself. The next letter says, oh, actually the automatic update failed, so you will have to take it to the dealer. The dealer network is only an advantage for software upgrades if your software sucks and your cars cannot update themselves over the air. Now, of course, you need service centers, and that part of the whole network, that is not terrible. But the actual selling process is absolutely horrible. It makes the cars more expensive for no good reason. It makes the whole experience of buying a vehicle much worse. I never looked forward to going to a dealership, but when I buy my next Tesla, I will look forward to that moment because it's super easy. Just takes 5 minutes.
What do you think, Garrett? Because I know you have a sell on General Motors.
Yeah, I mean, we're skeptical. They'll finally be bringing some of these long-awaited Ultium EV models to market. The problem is really the timing. We think they're too late to the market. If you look, EVs accounted for 6% of new vehicle sales last year in the U.S. 2/3 were Teslas. So you look at the non-Tesla EV market, it's 2% of all new vehicle sales in the U.S. And a lot of new models are coming to market, and we see a situation where it's really the market's very oversaturated in the near future, in the next 1 to 2 years. And I think, with consumers having so many different options, it's going to be overwhelming. And while we think the EV transition is real, it is going to take time. And our base case is that in the year 2030, 30% of all new vehicle sales will be EVs. So it's going to take time.
You know what else is going to take time, though? Analysts understanding that the EV transition is going to happen a lot faster than they think. Only 30% by 2030? Yeah, that's not going to age well. I mean, think about this. The US government has these ridiculously high incentives for all automakers to switch to EVs. It makes sense to do that. It makes sense to take advantage of that, and that will create economies of scale. Just that one factor alone will boost the EV adoption rate. But even without these tax credits, when you compare a more equivalent Toyota Prius to a Model 3 without any incentives from the government, it already makes more sense to get a Model 3. And do you think it is likely that Tesla is going to continue to innovate, reduce the number of parts in the vehicles, make it easier to manufacture and also cheaper to manufacture? And given that the prices of Model 3s and Model Ys are going to come down eventually even more, do you think that is a realistic possibility? If the answer is yes to that question, why would you then buy an internal combustion engine vehicle instead of an EV, as long as you can find a charger for your EV? And especially if you can charge at home. It will be too obvious that not buying an EV is ridiculous. And this is the Tesla stock buying opportunity. My name is Matt Post. Just like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.